am so excited to be here. I traveled from Philadelphia. Anybody here from Philly? Hey, yes. So thank you so much for having me. Stephanie told me that I'm gonna be y'all Puerto Rican sister, so let's do it. I have some points, so if you're taking notes, I'm an educator by training. So I have some points. If you want to write them down, write them down. Point number one, purpose in private. There's purpose in private. So I went to Bloomsburg University. It's a college in the Poconos. And I was a thick John, okay? We say John in Philly, okay? And when I was there, I saw this beautiful man, and I'm like, I'm going to scoop him up, y'all. You know, you got to affirm things over your life. And Jesus heard my prayer, because I definitely did. So we got married, I got pregnant, and I gained 52 pounds, which is a lot for my small frame. I'm 5'2", y'all. I got these little heels on, but I'm real short in real life. So I get pregnant, and I'm Puerto Rican, so my mom's like, girl, double up on rice and beans. You're eating for two. I'm like, yes, bring on the rice and beans. Yes, God. And so we go, I have this baby, and I feel awful. Have the baby, not losing the weight. And I want to be really transparent with you guys. These are things that we don't talk about. We don't talk about postpartum depression. We don't talk about all these feelings that we have. Here I am with this brand new baby, and my husband's still looking like a snack, okay? So my mom tells me, girl, all you got to do is breastfeed. You going to lose the weight. She lied. She lied. The weight didn't go anywhere. So I'm like, you know what, God, I've never been athletic. I was never into fitness, wasn't a part of any teams. What am I going to do? When I went to the gym, I felt so inadequate. Like, I felt that everybody in there knew what they were doing but me. Am I the only one that felt like that? So I didn't want to go. Let's be serious. I didn't want to go. So I'm like, you know what? Let me start to walk. And walk became jog, and jog became run. So I start running, and I'm a runner now, y'all, okay? So I'm real hype, I'm excited, and somebody at work, at the time I was an educator at a high school, and she's like, there's this popular run in Philadelphia, it's called the Broad Street Run, let's sign up. I'm like, okay, girl. She didn't tell me it was 10 miles, but praise the Lord for the ministry of Google, okay? Google, can you teach me how to run 10 miles? Give you a little training plan, you gotta train yourself, but it's okay. So I get there, and it's just me. And I've never, ever done a run, ever, in life. So I had no idea what to expect. And there's 40,000 people there. 40,000, and just me. I ain't have a friend. I ain't have no boo. Nobody was like, yeah, girl, I'm going to run 10 miles with you. It was just me. So I get there, and I'm super nervous, and some people warming up. So it's like, you look at them like, wait, should I be doing some jumping jacks? Should I be stretching? Google ain't tell me this part. Google missed this part. So I'm real, like, you know, just unsure about myself. But I see this beautiful group called Black Girls Run. They wearing these pink boas. They looking all fierce. And I'm like, man, I wish I would have joined them. And then there's this other group called Students Run Philly Style. But I was over the age for that group. But I still wish I would have joined them. And so I go, I run these 10 miles, and let me tell y'all, I felt like I could fly. Like, when I got that medal around my neck, like, there was a brick wall, I felt like I could have ran past it, because I was just I was feeling myself that day. But what I realized was there wasn't any Latinas that I saw. Granted, with 40,000 people there, I'm positive there were. But what I saw, what I felt, there were no Latinas there. So I went, Ministry of Google, are there any Latina running groups? Google said no, there were not. So I said, you know what? I want to start something. And why I say purpose in private is because God put this in my spirit. And when God gives you a vision, he will give you provision. He will give you provision. But this is where we get it mixed up. All right, so in my spirit, he says, start Latinas in Motion. And it really did come to me like that. So I'm like, okay, Lord, I'm going to get started. There's so many people, so many of maybe you, who have ideas, and you share them with other people. And they're like, girl, no, you can't do that. No, that's not for you. No, you can't do that. Oh, that's oversaturated. Who said that? If God gave this to me, I don't need anybody's approval. So what I need you to know is that ideas are most delicate in their infancy. Think about a baby. When you have a baby, you're not giving that baby to everybody. You have to protect that baby, right? I want you to do the same exact thing with your ideas. That's your baby. That's your baby. So stop telling people about it when they don't have your vision. They don't have your vision. And it breaks my heart when people are looking for the approval of others. Do you think this is a good idea? God gave it to you. He didn't give it to them. They're never going to understand, ever. I come from a very big family. My mom is one of 16, and they all Puerto Rican, okay? None of them joined Latinas in Motion. And that's okay. Because if I was waiting for them, I would not have had the impact that I have today. And some of us are waiting on our family and our friends. God didn't give it to them. He gave it to you. And you may be impacting a different demographic. So I text everybody on my phone. I don't have an MBA. I've never been athletic. I didn't have a certified running coach. But God gave it to me, so I'm a rock and roll. So I text people on my phone. This was June 2012. Every single person, didn't matter what race, ethnicity they were. Do you want to meet me on Saturday to walk 2.5 miles? That Saturday, 6 other women met me. And I felt like, oh my gosh, this is working. This is amazing. So in 2012, Instagram wasn't popping, y'all. There was just Facebook, okay? So we took a selfie. We did that in 2012. And it was like wildfire. So then all these women were like, oh, what are you guys doing? I want to join you next Saturday. So then 6 became 12. Then the following Saturday, we had 30 women. Then the following Saturday, we had 40 women. Then I started to get emails from women in New Jersey. Hey, can I start something here? Then I realized, oh, wait, this is serious. I need a plan. I need a plan. And decided I'm going to make this an official nonprofit organization. And that's exactly what we did. And let me tell you something. I always felt inadequate. I always felt like I didn't know what I was doing. But guess what? I did it anyways. I did it anyways. Don't let your lack of what you think is knowledge stop you from doing what God told you to do. Because when God gives you vision, yes. So we grew from just me and 6 other women. At this point, we have 1,300 women. All right, so this is still 2012. So in less than 6 months, we get 1,300 women in the tri-state area. So Philadelphia, New Jersey, New York. And I decided, you know what? If I'm gonna lead these women, I gotta run a marathon. I can't be telling these women about running and me never ran a marathon. So a marathon is 26.2 miles. Honey, yep, all of them, all of them. But I said, I have to do it. So I started doing research and realized women weren't allowed to run before 1969 because they said we weren't strong enough because we could have babies. So the little Beyonce feminist in me, I'm going to run that marathon. You know how you hype yourself up in your head? Like, I'm going to run that marathon. I'm going to show those people. 1969, that was yesterday. And you're trying to tell me women couldn't run in marathons because they thought we weren't strong enough? So I decided, you know what I'm going to do? So I started Latinas in Motion June 2012, decided to run it in August. My husband's super supportive. I could say I want to do pottery, and he'll be like, yes, girl, do it. So he's like, all right, just make sure you train. Just make sure you train. I'm like, boo, I got this. I'm going to train. So a little bit around September, I had the bright idea. I'm like, you know what? I'm so snatched. Let me go ahead and try to have another baby. Like, when I tell you I do the most, y'all, like in real life, I do the most. So I got off birth control, and my marathon was in November. We find out we're pregnant in October. I'm like, oh, that was really fast. I wasn't expecting that. So I go see my doctor, and the doctor says, you're a runner, you go ahead and run. I'm like, well, then I shall. So race day comes, we go have an appointment the day before. So the marathon is on Sunday. Friday, we have a doctor's appointment. Baby's heart rate is great. I was about 8 weeks. Everything is great. So I have my daughter. You guys remember? That's the reason why I started running. So my daughter Eva, and I was pregnant again. So I run this marathon, and it was real hard, y'all. It took me 6 hours. Mostly because I wanted to keep my heart rate kind of low because I was pregnant. But it was difficult, 26.2 miles. But I was so grateful because when I was running, I had Latinas in Motion waiting for me at the end. And the importance of that is the possibility. Once you see someone you love, someone you know doing something, you feel like hashtag me too. Right? Hashtag me too. So even though it was hard, and even though no one knew except my husband that I was pregnant, I had to do it anyways because I wanted to show them what possibility looks like. That if I can do this, you can too. So Monday comes around, I was so sore, go to the doctor, everything's great with the baby. So we're like, you know what, let's tell everybody. Well, just our family, we ain't put it on Facebook yet. You know, that's like when you tell everybody. So we tell our family, and everybody's just like, wow, that's amazing. You ran this marathon and you were pregnant. And I'm like, yes, because I can do all things, you know. And so we decided, so this is now December, and we decided, okay, we're going to tell everybody for Christmas. Like, that's going to be our Christmas surprise. So we go have our ultrasound for the 13-week ultrasound. I've been pregnant before, so I know what I'm supposed to see. Look up at the screen, and if any mothers are in here, the heartbeat looks like a little light, like a little blinking light. So we go, and we're so excited, like, oh my gosh, we're going to see the baby. And immediately when the screen comes up, there's no blinking light. And my heart just starts to sink. My hands start to sweat. And the ultrasound technician, she was very cold. Didn't say nothing to us, didn't speak. And my husband, he different than me, y'all. I'm sweet, okay? So he has all the questions. What are we looking at? What are you measuring? Where's the heartbeat? And she's like, well, I can't answer any of these questions. So he goes from 0 to 100, bless his heart. And so she says, I'm going to bring back the doctor. So the doctor comes in. My heart is beating so fast. And he says, we're sorry, you can try again. You didn't miscarry naturally, so you're going to have an appointment to have the baby surgically removed. But you can try again. And he leaves. And he leaves. As if I was trading in a pair of shoes. It was a baby. It was a baby. And when I tell you I've never experienced that sense of hurt, because what's the first thing I thought about? Should have never ran that marathon. Should have never ran that marathon. Christmas was 3 days away, and we had told our immediate family, so we, told them what happened, and I just felt broken and less than, and I just felt like, God, why me? I did this to honor you. I did this so I could show other women what you're possible of. How could you take this away from me? I did what you said. I did what you told me to do. And I don't want to run anymore. I don't want to run anymore. I don't want these women to look at me as their leader because I never want to run again. You took this baby away from me. And that's what it felt like. And I have to be transparent because sometimes we don't talk about these feelings. Sometimes we leave out this part. And this part is what keeps us together. So that you know you're not alone. So that you know, me too. Me too. And so we sat there, had to go to the hospital, which was super scary, had the baby removed, and they do so much testing. So they said this was a partial molar pregnancy. That means in English there was too many chromosomes. So it wasn't you. This baby wasn't going to survive. There was too many chromosomes. It was a genetic issue. So I tried to explain that to my Puerto Rican family. They ain't get it. Let's be real. They ain't get it. To my mom, it was, why would you run for 6 hours, right? And that was hard. And deep down inside, I questioned myself. I questioned my purpose. Well, God, maybe Latinas in Motion isn't it, right? So when you don't miscarry naturally, you have to have blood work done every week to make sure that your hormones level come down because your body still thinks you're pregnant, right? Didn't happen naturally. So every week that was a reminder, you ain't having this baby, girl. When I tell you how hard that is, that's hard. But your pain has a purpose. And I didn't know that then. I thought it was just about me. And I thought, how could God do this to me? And why did this happen to me? Your pain has a purpose. So the doctor said, don't try again for 12 months because this could happen again. But y'all know I'm a little bit hard-headed. And I said, God, I'm just going to keep praying. I'm going to keep fasting. At this point, we really, really want a baby because we thought we were going to have this baby. So I had testing up until March, and they said, okay, your body's back to normal. In April, we were pregnant. Because there is nothing too hard for your God. There is nothing too hard for your God. And it was a difficult decision for me. Am I going to run this time? Am I going to run this time? My family, my husband's family are all going to ask, you shouldn't be running. You know what happened last time? But since the doctor said it was a genetic issue, and because I believe in the all-knowing power of God, I'm going to run. So I ran all up until I was, till I couldn't run no more for real, for real. Like I felt that belly on my kneecaps, like, we running. And in January, my son was born, 9 pounds, 14 ounces. Big baby, y'all. And I ran the whole time, too. Still came out big boy. And I was just so excited. And up until that point, let me tell you, no one knew. No one from Latinas in Motion, our families knew, but nobody knew what happened. But I want to put a pin in that point because remember what I said, your pain has a purpose. So I kept that experience, kept that story, didn't share it with no one. So fast forward, Latinas in Motion is growing. I still have a full-time job at this point. So I'm an educator and I have this nonprofit organization. But now I have this new baby and I'm trying to snatch it back again. You know, you got to get right back. So I got a membership to LA Fitness and they have like a daycare there. My son, he real attached to me. So I would put him down and then 5 minutes later they would come grab me. Ma'am, your son. And I would be like, well, I'm paying y'all $75 a month. Y'all ain't got no tricks up in there. You ain't got no toys, no show. He can't watch Elmo or something. Like, for the mothers in here, y'all know how much work it is to get 2 kids ready, get their snacks, put them in the car, and I could just walk for 5 minutes. You already getting me out? But I'm like, okay, this was just today. It happened 5 more times. I said, you know what? No, this ain't for me. And I got so down because it's like, where is the help? And one thing that I learned is that when you find a deficit, fill it. Fill it. So I told my husband, I'm like, listen, honey, I'm passionate about fitness. You know that. Been rocking and rolling with Latinas in Motion since 2012. But I need some place where I can go work out and bring these 2 children of yours. You know when you mad, you got to like put that in his face. These your kids. So he's like, all right, well, what do you suggest? Again, always a supporter. I want a fitness and nutrition center. Like, I need some place of my own where I can bring the kids. And we decided to open up our own center so that women can come in there, get a little Zumba class, do a little circuit training, and not feel like they can't. And when I tell y'all, I'll try all the tricks. I will sing a song for your kids, make sure they watching the show before I come get you, because I get it. Why? Because #MeToo. Right? There's a purpose for everything that you were dealing with. So I get a call from Women's Running Magazine. So oftentimes, because we're the only Latina running group, people will call you like, hey, can you share with you our story? But it's like a little column. So Women's Running Magazine calls me at this time, and I'm super excited. So I'm like, yes, girl. So that's me in real life. Hey, boo, how you doing? And so she's like, oh, well, share with us your story. So I share with her my story, and then she asked this question, are you a marathon runner? And I said, yeah. What was your most memorable marathon? So one thing that I forgot to mention was I ran the marathon in 2012. That's the same year we lost the baby. I had my son Ian in 2014. I decided to run a marathon that same year just so that I could prove to myself I can. All right? And then in 2016, I decided to run another marathon just to prove to myself that I still can. Right? I still can. So I ran 3 marathons when she called me. And what was the first one that I thought about? When I lost my baby. Never shared it with no one, and I shared it with her. And I don't think she knew what to do with that. That didn't fit in a column. And what I want to tell you is that God will put you in positions you didn't even apply for. He will put you in positions you didn't even apply for. I didn't ask Women's Running Magazine to call me. They just did. They found my information. And I held on to this story until she called, right? I wasn't expecting to tell her, but you know when something just comes out of you? So it just came out, and I was able to tell her without crying, without being, like emotional, like I share with her my story. The next day, she calls me back. Elaine, I could not get your story out of my mind. Do you mind being on our cover for Women's Running Magazine? When I tell you we serve an awesome God who has purpose, put purpose, over your life that you don't even understand why. But again, your pain has a purpose. So I was on the cover of the June 2016 Women's Running Magazine, where thousands of women read my story. And what do you think happened? They emailed me saying, me too. Me too. Me too. And I just was like, thank you, Lord. But with that, right, as you rise, you get some influence. And when you get influence, you get lots and lots of opinions. Some of them you don't even ask for. But we live in this social media, I can tell you whatever I want to tell you. I control your page and say awful things about you, and you ain't going to have the courage to say something back to me because you're a Christian and you ain't going to clap back. But God is still working on me. I'm going to be honest with y'all. God is still working on me. Because we're going to be transparent all weekend, right? Like, let's be real. And so last year, when I was in Sunday school, everybody talked about David and Goliath, right? And that was a story we all knew. Like, oh, David was this little young boy, and he got these stones and killed Goliath. But nobody told me the whole story. Like, David is amazing. Like, he was a king. How did he miss that part? He went from being a shepherd to being a king, like, missed that part. Went from being almost killed all these times, missed that part. Like, there's so many parts that I didn't know until I became an adult. And I didn't realize that so many issues that we're going through today already happened. Already happened, but we feel like it's just me. This is brand new. Just because it's on Instagram does not mean it didn't happen in 1 Samuel with King David, y'all. Right? The same way people trying to troll you, they try to kill David. So I was at this weird place. I have all this influence. Everybody's trying to tell you how to run your life, how to run your businesses. I was working full time. I was doing Latinas in Motion. I had this fitness and nutrition center. So everybody has an opinion. Like, you're doing too much. Are you Jesus the Christ? I'm sorry. Right? You can't do all that. You're doing too much. You can't do all that. You don't have an MBA. You don't have a business degree. Guess what? I graduated from the Bible. You know what I'm saying? So I decided I was going to start reading this thing, and for some reason, the story of David just I feel like that's my uncle. Like, that's just his story. I could relate to him. So in 1 Samuel 17, chapter 17, 38 to 40, that little story right there changed my life. I'm going to give y'all the Sparks Notes version. I'm going to give you the Philly version. So he's getting ready to go to war, all right? And somebody's like, oh, you got to armor up. And they put on all these real good armor on him to protect him. And it didn't fit. And it didn't fit. Do you hear me? It didn't fit. And David said, I'm going to take this off, and I'm going to go as me. Yo, like that verse right there, anytime I feel less than, I go back to that verse. Anytime I'm questioning why, I go back to that verse. Anytime I'm comparing myself to someone else and God, why don't I have what they have? And they look so much happier, and they got a bigger house. I go back to go as you. Go as you, armor up and go as you. Because if you do not go as you, you're going to miss your calling. If you do not go as you, God can't bless what you're not. So you're so busy looking at the person next to you and like, man, they were successful this way. Let me try that. And God said, that's not the door I told you to go through. Oh, they're doing this in their business. Okay, let me forget this and go to that. And that's not where you're supposed to go. It doesn't fit you. It doesn't fit you. Do you understand? It doesn't fit you. If David went to the army where he was going to go see Goliath with that armor on that didn't fit, he wouldn't have won. He wouldn't have won. Spoiler alert, he went by himself as himself and he won. So you have to go as you. And I'm going to stay on this point because we are really in a state of comparison. With social media, the news, reality TV, it's so easy. And I'm not saying this to you, I'm saying this to me. To me. I run 26 miles. Why I don't have abs, Lord? Right? God, I work so hard. Why I don't have $1 million? But you miss out on every blessing that God is giving you. If you don't know how to manage what you have right now, how you going to be ready for the increase? How you going to be ready for the increase? And it's important for us to understand that we have to be ourselves. You must be you. You must be you. So I started speaking and sharing my story because your story is powerful. And I didn't realize that. I would always ask my husband, like, babe, I don't know if I can. There are so many more speakers that are better than me. And he would be like, your gift is your story. Share it. Your gift is your story. Share it. So I started speaking, and every time I would go speak, I promise y'all, this question would come up all the time. Excuse me, ma'am, how do you manage everything? All the time. How do you run businesses and work full time? All the time. So what they didn't know is that God has structured my life in a way that I was doing something I didn't even know that I was creating yet. Does that ever happen to you guys? Like you look back and be like, oh, that's what you were doing this whole time. So I would buy planners. I love planners and like stationery and stickers, right? And I would buy them plain and then I would make it work for me because I felt like I can't create something, right? Like, let me just figure this out because I don't know how to design. But then God said, I'll bring you someone who can design. I'll bring you someone who can help you create. So I decided to create a planner because this is what I would do in each and every day. So every morning I wake up, I write down what I'm grateful for. Wherever you are in your life, you better be grateful you open up your eyes. Because some people would really tell me like, well, what if I'm not grateful for nothing? Lord, thank you, I opened up my eyes. Trust me, whatever stage you're at in your life, there is someone who has it way worse than you do. So be grateful you are where you are. So I'll write down what I'm grateful for. Then I would write down a to-do list. What am I going to get done this day? If you don't make a plan for your life, someone's going to plan it for you. If you don't make a plan for your life, someone's going to plan it for you. And it's important that we pray, but it's also important that we put a little work behind that prayer. You're praying for a new business idea, right? God, you still ain't give me a new idea. He's been giving it to you, but because you're not putting in the work, you're not writing it down. Even the Bible says, write the vision, make it plain. You're not writing it down. You got to write it down. Write it down, look at it every single day, and watch how your life will change. I promise you. I promise you. Listen, I read this thing called the Bible every day, and there's a reoccurring message. Write it down. Write it down. We're not doing that. We're not. So I decided to write down my to-do list, and that's how I would keep it all together, right? 2 kids, husband, working full-time, working these businesses, so I would write down a to-do list. More importantly, I would do affirmations. Affirmations. What are you affirming over your life? And when I speak, a lot of the women, even my husband said this, he's like, babe, you be talking about affirmations, but I'm not doing that. I'm not going to look in the mirror and say, I am great. I am awesome. And so here was my rebuttal. Here's my rebuttal. You're affirming things over your life that you don't even know you're affirming. Let me give you an example, because I know y'all all up in here going to be like, oh yeah, she was talking to me. You're talking on the phone with your girl, and you're like, girl, I feel so fat in this dress. What are you affirming? Girl, I was up all night. I am so tired. What are you affirming? What you say out your mouth, your brain believes it as it is so. What you say out your mouth, your brain believes it as it is so. So you ever meet somebody who says they're sick and then they really get sick? Because they're affirming that over their life. So no matter what situation you're in right now, start affirming some greatness over your life. So you're broke every day, say to yourself, I have $1 million idea. So you don't feel like you're your fittest self every day, say to yourself, I am the healthiest version of myself. So you don't feel good every day, say to yourself, I am empowered with greatness. Because what you say out your mouth, your brain believes as it is so. And you have to take the time to write these affirmations down, because God thinks more of you than you think of yourself. We're around here talking about I'm stressed, I'm depressed. When God says in the Bible, you are wonderfully made. So we have to change the trajectory of our thoughts. We do. And you have to start with you. Because if you don't start with you, you're no good to anybody else. You're no good to anybody else. I will wake up in the morning, and my daughter, she's in 2nd grade. So I will wake up in the morning, get her ready, get her food, get her out the door. Then get my son ready, get him out the door. Make sure my husband's good, then I start my day, right? So the second you wake up, you're serving other people. The second you wake up, from here on out, you need to serve yourself first. So maybe that means you got to wake up 10 minutes early. Maybe that means you have to plan out your day differently. But when you start serving you first, that changes the trajectory of the entire day. Which month, then year, then your life. So every morning I wake up before Eva, just so I could say, God, thank you for this day. So that I could write down what I'm grateful for. So that I could write down my to-do list. So that I could go over affirmations before I have to take care of another human being. Because if I'm not taking care of me, I'm no good to her, or my son, or my husband, or my clients, or whoever. We need to start putting ourselves first so that we can be the best version of ourselves. Do you understand that? Too many times, because we're women and we're natural nurturers and we have these families, we're always putting ourselves last. But can I just say, for your consideration, watch how God is going to move when you start waking up giving him glory first, giving him honor first, giving him the first 5 minutes of your day. Watch him move. Watch him move. And so I decided to create this planner, and y'all already know how I feel about privacy, right? So I didn't tell nobody. As soon as I got it created, then I started to tell people, I'm putting out a planner. And what you think they said? Girl, no one's buying no planner. We have technology now. This little iPhone that I have, it has my schedule. Well, where you gonna write down your gratitude? In my mind. Right. You try to come for me, sis. They would tell me, no one's going to buy this planner, no one's going to buy this planner, no one's going to buy this planner. And I put it out anyways. Because again, God gave this to me. He didn't give this to you. And 1,000 planners and counting sold later. Do you understand what I'm saying? 1,000 planners sold later. It's been a year. We've sold more than 1,000 planners. And every single day I get an email, DM, text message from someone saying, I don't know what made you create this thing, but it's changed my life. Thank you. And imagine if I would have listened to those people who said, everybody's using technology. Your purpose is not for you. God gives it to you, but it's ultimately to give him glory, right? So your purpose is for you, but it's for you to bless somebody else. So I created this planner, yes, but it's for other women that they know they can dream out loud, so that they can know they can walk in their greatness, so that they know they can have it all. Because when did we start thinking that we had to choose? When did we start thinking that? I could be a really good mom, or I could do really well as a businesswoman. I could be a really good wife, or I could serve at church. Like, you can do it all. Like, we serve a great God who did amazing things, and if he gave it to you, it's for you. You have to get out that box that people are trying to put you in. Get out the box that people are trying to put you in. Get out the box. And honestly, that's my biggest message to women, that you can. That you can. That you can. Because if God puts something in your spirit, it's your job to make it come to life. We struggle. We're good with inspiration, but we struggle with the execution part. We struggle with the execution part. Man, I really, really want to open up this fashion boutique, but I ain't got no money. No one's going to come. Da-da-da-da. Do the work and execute. It's not just going to, a store is not just going to come out of nowhere, right? You got to do the work. And I promise you, when you start moving your feet, you will eat. I promise you that. I promise you that. Because this faith thing, we oftentimes think of like, God, you go, then I go, right? God, you go, then I go. God says, no, you go, then I go. You move, then I move. That's what faith is. But we got it backwards. We got it backwards. I always think about Peter, right? When he tried to walk on water. You go, and I'm going to make sure you don't sink. Same thing in your life. You go, God's going to make sure you don't sink. August 25th, 2017 was my last day working as an educator. And I was so scared. So scared. God told me, like, girl, I got you. Go ahead, change lives, do these businesses. He was already matching my salary with my businesses. But I was so scared. Because what am I going to do without this bi-weekly check? What am I going to do without these health insurance benefits? Let's be real. Let's be all the way real. Let's be all the way real. I'm not single. I have 2 kids and a husband and a mortgage and a car note. So if it doesn't work, God, if it doesn't work, Sally may not go want to say that I was living my best life. She not trying to hear that, y'all. Right? And I was so scared. But let me tell you something. That summer, God gonna test you when you're disobedient. You gonna stay at that job for them benefits? Oh, okay. Worst 2 months of my life. And it was a summer. I should have been chilling at work. The kids wasn't even in the building. Worst 2 months of my life. When I realized that God's love language is obedience. And I wasn't being obedient, y'all. I was worried about what I could see. What I know is that when I leave this job, I am not going to have these benefits, this bi-weekly check, right? This comfort, right? This comfort. I wasn't going to have that. So once I decided, you know what? All right, Lord, you win. Like if he loses, right? God, you win. He probably looking at me like, baby girl, get your whole life together. So I put in my 2 weeks notice, left the job. As I'm packing up all my stuff, I brought my kids with me. It was summer. And so Eva, she's 7 right now. So August, we're packing up the stuff, and she's like, Mom, what are we doing? And I'm like, oh, Mommy, she's going to do her businesses, and we're going to rock out with these planners. She helps me pack up the planners when I have to mail them out. She helps me with Latinas in Motion and everything. So I'm like, we're just going to work on our businesses. She said, but what are we going to do? You're not going to wake up and go to work? Girl, I work all day, every day. I don't know what they be thinking about. But she's like, well, what are we going to do now? And I was just like, we're going to run the world, babe. And she's like, all right, well, let's go do it. And I just remember the Holy Spirit just filled me up. And I really felt that God told me, I told you. I told you. I told you so. We over here thinking like, God, I know what's best for me. I'm going to stay at this job. And I promise you, it was so clear. God told me, I got you. I got you. The most beautiful thing was I was able to take my daughter so that she can see what walking on faith looks like. So that she could see what having faith and trusting God over our lives and our purpose and our plans. She saw that with her own eyes. So whatever it is she wants to do, she has to know we have to honor God. We have to be obedient over our purpose. I'm never going to forget that. And let me just, I cannot leave you guys without letting you know that I still don't have it all figured out. I fail every day. Every day. Because I don't want you guys to sit there and be like, she has it all together and she has these businesses. I don't know what I'm doing half the time. But I trust that God will lead me. I trust that God will lead me, and I'm obedient to follow. You hear me? I'm obedient to follow. And failure is a part of the process, and hurt is a part of the process. And people are going to backstab you, and you're not going to know what's going on. And family members are not going to support you. And you might go broke a couple times. But guess what? God is just never leaving your side. He's never leaving your side. And those lessons that you're learning, they're not failures, they're lessons. They're gearing you up for a better you, a stronger you, a wiser you, a bolder you. I stand here confidently in my calling because this is what I do every day. God, let everything that I do honor you. Okay, boom, let's go. I can't be worried about what my sis over here is doing or what my sis over here is doing. I tried that and it didn't work. I tried comparing myself and that didn't work. I tried envy and that didn't work. I tried jealousy and that didn't work. Are we being real with ourselves? Let's be real. I know I'm not the only one. And it wasn't until I focused, it wasn't until I became confident in my calling and became obedient that I felt joy, like real joy. Like, people don't know what joy is. Joy means that if you don't have nothing, you still have joy. That when everything goes left, you still have joy. That when people say no, you still have joy. And now I know what that feels like. So if I could leave you with one last thing, follow joy, because that's where God lives. Focus on your joy. Focus on peace. Anything that's not giving you peace and joy is a distraction. I hope and pray that my story was able to help one person in this room. I hope and pray that you leave these doors with the ability to execute, with the ability to dream big, because we serve a big God. So be fearless. Be fearless in your pursuit to set the world on fire. Thank you guys so much.